Hello, and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Catherine Haleko, and I'm here with Terri Morrow. Say hi, Terri.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Terri and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics, because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. So this week, we plan to watch the movie The Four Seasons, but that didn't quite end up working out for us. So
yeah, my library is a little slow on the delivery of that item. I'm still waiting. It's going to take 4 seasons for it to get to me, apparently.
Right. Someday it will. And then when it does, we will talk about it. So instead, we thought we would catch each other up a little bit on what we've been reading lately, since we do mention books in our intro. And once in a while, we do talk about books. So we will do that in a moment. But first, So You Think You Can Dance also returned after a holiday hiatus. And it's still auditions. But this was the last week of auditions.
Yes, thank goodness. And are we going to remember all these people that got their golden ticket when we see them again?
That is exactly my question. I am concerned that I will not remember any of them. Like when they showed the teaser for the next show, I was like, oh yeah, the girl with alopecia, I remember her, and her cute boyfriend.
Yes, from the last episode.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I remember anybody else.
They need to, have a quick recap, Remember
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
They'll find some way to kill some time.
Many
weeks.
Recap. so many weeks of auditions. Yes. I gotta think that somewhere later on when they're, having to do a double elimination of the top 10 or something like that, we're gonna wish we had at least one of these weeks back. But on the other hand, I guess it's nice to showcase as many dancers as possible. Most of the people we saw over the past 5 weeks will not be in the top 10. So they got their moment in the sun, whereas if they had crammed all the auditions into 1 or 2 weeks, they wouldn't have. So, from that point of view, I guess it's good. Showcase as much dance as you can. A lot of people got to take the stage. So I suppose that's good, although it's going to be annoying later on when I wish we had time with the people they finally narrowed it down to. And then it's going to be like, oh, gotta go.
Right, because then we'll have favorites among those, and then our favorites will disappear very quickly, and that will be too bad. So
that will be annoying.
Yes.
So I don't feel like I necessarily saw anything on this week's episode that was that much startlingly different from things we've seen on past week's episodes that I feel like, oh my goodness, thank gosh, they got to this one. Thank goodness we got to see this one. But, as with every other audition week, I enjoyed watching them dance. It was very good.
Yeah, I mean, they started out with this ballroom couple that were fun to watch.
Right.
Because they were a little bit, I guess, non-traditional.
So they said. I know not the distinctions made there, so they looked fine.
Yeah, of course I don't either. I mean, to me, it did look different to me, a lot more sort of synchronized in parallel than partnered. Right. She does one thing, he does something else kind of deal.
It was a Dancing with the Stars sort of salsa, where, less in hold than you're probably supposed to, but...
Right.
But it was entertaining, and, indeed, the advantages of an extremely tall guy and a short girl. You can get the leg over the head.
Get the leg over.
Without her even having to duck, so...
Right.
And, always enjoy watching tap, especially since we seem to have expressionistic tap now.
Yes, and
I guess that's a thing.
And then he said at the end that he just made the whole thing up on the spot. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did. And I'm thinking, that seems an unwise way to go into an audition, but you go, guy.
It worked out for him, but I feel like that was a gamble.
Although I feel that if you are a pretty good tapper, you can just pull those things out of your back pocket and make them look amazing. I am a not good tapper at all. Some years as a child, I learned how to tap, and I could probably throw something. I couldn't throw anything good together, but I can string some steps together just randomly. And so I would imagine somebody who actually knows what he's doing, it's probably not that big a deal. But
still seems like a risk to me.
Yes. One that paid off handsomely, so.
Yes, it worked out quite well for him.
Yeah.
So
I could have done, I feel terrible saying it, because great, she got to go on TV and she got to live her dream, and that's wonderful, but the inspiration porn sections of these auditions always just make me really uncomfortable. Yeah. And, I guess it's nice, but it doesn't seem necessary. I know Nigel sort of has a little, I think he does things with the special needs community, and so he likes to feature some of those people. And, good on him. That's nice. I think there might be better ways to do it than this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was really like, what are they going to do? How are they going to handle this? Yes. You could see from her audition that, she definitely has some skills, but not to the level of the other people.
Right. Yes.
And, it was a reasonable compromise, I guess, for Nigel to invite her to come to the academy and sort of participate as a guest. I don't know. I'm not sure what else they could have done. I mean, they had to be prepared to do something. Yeah. Bringing her in. They had to know that she probably wasn't going to.
Yeah, it's there. I know if there's programs out there, let's just do a little documentary segment on those programs. Right. Let's meet a bunch of kids. Let's see how they do it. Let's see what it gives them and how they are, I would love to see that. I would be really, really interested to see that. Bringing one kid on, having them do their little thing, making a big deal about it, making some sort of condescending, oh, you get to come. You won't be competing, but you can come, like as our mascot, is just uncomfortable, I think. Mm-hmm. So I don't, I think that there are good ways to showcase people with disabilities on this show. I don't think that is
the one. Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that, but I'm, thrilling for her. So, so on we go to the academy, which is going to be for how many weeks?
I know. I wonder.
We're going to get our top 10 on the next to last week. Right. And then lose 5 of them the first week.
Yeah. It's very strange the way they're pacing this.
Yes. Well, we know this is going into mid-September because it ends the same day that Dancing with the Stars begins, which I'm thinking is maybe the 16th. So.
Yeah. Just in general, the pacing has been confusing, let's say, for this. On we go. So we'll do that next week. And let's move on now to Story Hour, what we have been reading. I will start. My book club is doing a sort of very loose theme this year, which we don't usually do. And we're doing young adult books. Mm-hmm. And so one of them was The Outsiders, which, is a classic at this point. But somehow I never read it. I mean, once I was thinking to myself, like, I had to have read this. How could I not? How could I get to this point? And
how did you get through high school without being exposed to The Outsiders?
Middle school and high school. I never even seen the movie. Like, I don't know.
Trying to think if I saw the movie. I definitely read the book.
The movie has Rob Lowe, Matt Dillon, Emilio Estevez,
I must have
Tom
seen it.
Cruise. Yeah. And as I learned in the book today that because the book is now 50 years old. It's
my goodness.
Yeah.
Really?
So there's a 50th anniversary.
Yes.
In fact, I think it's 52. I think it came out in 67.
Wow. I thought it came out like when I was a teenager, but I guess not. I guess it had been around a while before that.
Yeah, the movie came out.
Because it was all the rage when I was a teenager. It was like, hot and happening and, real life.
Right. Well, and then the movie came out like in the early 80s, like maybe 83 or something. But apparently several years ago, Francis Ford Coppola re-released it, like, well, maybe not a couple years ago, maybe longer ago than that, but kind of put back in a bunch of deleted stuff and made it a little more true to the book. Apparently that is the version that if you were to go, ask your library to borrow it from some other library, you would get that one, they said, in the book.
Be another 50 years before it actually came.
Right. But anyway, so I could have sworn I had read it, but as once I got into it, I realized, nope, I never have. So now I have. And now I know what all the fuss is about.
So you didn't read it in school and your kids didn't read it in school?
Not so far.
Wow. Has it fallen out of school read popularity?
No, but I feel like it shouldn't. I think
such the thing.
I do think it's still relevant today. So I feel like kids should be reading it. I should double check.
Next time I'm in Barnes & Noble, I'll have to look at the summer reading table that they put out of books and see if it's on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I do think it would still resonate with kids today. So I read that, and I was quite glad to have finally gotten to that. That was definitely a hole in my pop cultural life.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and then the other one I read was called Out of My Mind, and it's by Sharon Draper, and it came out, I believe, in 2010.
Okay.
And it's definitely, it for sure reads like a sort of middle grade, not like a high school book, like for younger kids. The narrator is a girl who I believe is around 10 at the start of the book. And she has cerebral palsy and is nonverbal. And it's at some point in the book, or fairly early on in the book, she gets a communication device. So she's finally able to communicate, and, lo and behold, she's much smarter than everyone thought. Ooh. Because nobody could, her parents could understand her, and her parents were trying to advocate for her at school, but she was in a self-contained classroom and, very frustrated because they were teaching her the alphabet and she could read. So anyway, and then she gets this device, and then she gets an aide, and a one-on-one aide, and she gets she gets included in other classes with kids her age. And so then it kind of goes from there. And she, I felt like there were parts of it that rang a little outdated to me, even though it is only, less than 10 years old, but in a way that the outsiders maybe didn't. But it was, a very, obviously a different perspective, something that you do not get most of the time. And it's some great characters, the narrator herself and her family and her, some of the teachers. They have this neighbor who helps take care of her, especially when she's little, and the neighbor really has her, figured out. Like, I know that you understand, and I know that you just can't communicate, but, she teaches her how to read, and she helps her learn to crawl, and, she just is like a real champion for her. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting that different perspective on it. And, and, the parents were very nicely drawn, I thought. You didn't have like the hapless dad and the dad was a real person, he wasn't just like this dope who didn't know what to do. And the mom was frazzled in some ways, but she also, she had more to her than that as well. So yeah, I would recommend it, just to get that perspective. I mean, there's a couple, sort of really sad parts to it. But actually, it connects to The Outsiders in that they both finish by sort of repeating the first lines.
Oh, interesting.
Because in The Outsiders, it's Pony Boy at the end is writing like a paper for his English class, and then you sort of realize that the whole book was that. And in Out of My Mind, it's similar in that there is an assignment to sort of write an autobiographical piece. And it is, in fact, the book you are holding.
Yes. Yeah. One of the things that I don't like about audiobooks is that you can't flip back and check on things like that. The book that I just listened to, there were some lines at the end that I know had been earlier in the book, and I was like reaching for my phone to go look for them. I'm like, there is no way I can do that. Yeah. I'm going to have to go onto Amazon and find, see if it's online someplace, and I can find those. Or next time I'm in the bookstore, I have to look for it just to flip and see. So one of the great disadvantages of audiobooks is that there is no way to flip back to a certain point. Another great advantage of audiobooks for somebody like me who is not necessarily, if I'm reading a book and I'm not sure I like it, sometimes I might, skip ahead a little bit and look and see if I like where the plot is going. And can't do that so much with an audiobook.
No.
And in the case of the book that I just finished, that was a really, really good thing. I read a book called My Oxford Year by Julia Whelan. The author is mostly known to me for playing Grace on the show Once and Again many years ago. I loved that character. I loved her performance. And then afterwards, I completely lost track of her. A while back, I heard that she was reading audiobooks professionally, and then I saw that she had written a novel. And it came up as a discounted thing on Audible one day, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna listen to her book. Listen to her read her book, as it happens. And it sat on my phone for a long time, and then I finally ran out of podcasts and other things, and so I started listening to it. And I guess because I didn't have a physical book to look at and look at the book jacket and see what it was about, I had never really read a description of it, much beyond the fact that it's about an American woman who goes to Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar and, one assumes has adventures. And I didn't really read much more than that. And from the beginning, I thought things happen and I said, I know what's going to happen there. She takes on a job just as she's getting to Oxford and she's supposedly going to do both this and studying at that. Oh, well, I see all the things that are going to happen here. It's going to be completely overwhelming. And then she meets a guy and, this is going to be one of these romances. It's, I like 10 times I knew exactly where this book was going, and I didn't like where I thought it was going, and I thought, do I want to keep reading this? I don't know. I kind of felt like I owed it to her because I, loved her performance years ago so much. I really should read her whole book, I would, and then it just went off in completely different directions that I never could have anticipated, and suddenly I couldn't put it down, and it was wonderful, and I enjoyed it so much, and it's probably a good thing I couldn't flip ahead and ruin it for myself. But what I would say to anybody who is interested in reading this, and you would like it, Catherine, and anybody who's interested, do not read the description on Amazon. Do not read the back of the book. Do not, because it gives it away. I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it. The description on Amazon completely spoils it. Probably the back of the book completely spoils it. Just go in cold. Go in with all your expectations of where you think it's going to go, and then have it completely go in different directions. I enjoyed it very much. Her reading is wonderful. It's always nice to have an author reading their own book, but she does really well with all the voices and the accents. I think she reads Linda Holmes' new book also, so I'm looking forward to hearing her voice again. So, it's particularly if you like American in England sort of books.
The Royal We.
Yeah. I kept thinking it was the Royal We. I kept expecting that. That was my frame of reference. And then it did different things. And I really, really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And enjoyable as an audiobook, probably would be enjoyable as a, actual reading words on paper book.
Okay.
Very glad I stuck with it.
Good. Well, good to know. Well, we should wrap this up. So next week, we will watch that first week of the Academy on So You Think You Could Dance. First week of 1, 2, 10, who knows? We'll find out.
They sure sent a lot of people there, so I guess they got a lot of whittling
Yes. To do. And we will, fingers crossed, knock on wood, finally return to the West Wing with the first episode of Season 7, The Ticket. And did you want to issue a warning about that?
Yes, I just briefly, in case you happen to be looking away when the little thing comes up to indicate that the episode is starting with a flash forward, I think it's 3 years later or something like that. You get the previouslys of all the campaign stuff that we just watched in the previous season, and then the little thing comes up 3 years later. And it's kind of spoilery, but it's the show spoiling itself, so you have to watch it. You will want to turn away. It's mostly spoilery for minor plot points that develop through the year. It's possibly spoilery in a big way, but as I recall, the creators disowned that and had all sorts of explanations, so we'll see what they say on the West Wing Weekly podcast about it. But it definitely gives you information that the characters don't have as we go on the season, and I really wish they hadn't done that. I have no idea why. Sure they think it was a good idea and it was fun, and they just wanted to try something and they wanted to play with it.
Yeah.
But I would kind of like to have not known those things. So anyway, if you look up and you say, what the heck is going on? It's a flash forward. It's not, Netflix didn't mix up the order of episodes.
Okay.
You're not actually accidentally watching one from the end of the season.
Okay.
Blame it on the writers.
So we will watch that,
I have no idea
The Ticket and the Academy. And that'll be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes. We have something new for you every weekday. And as always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Bye, Terri.
Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, everyone.